Hello, and thank you so much for joining for the Business Spotlight series. My name is StacyCo. I am your host and nosy AF meta ad strategist. And today I'm super excited. I have with us someone who I've been following for years, and she's got so much juicy knowledge and information for you. So welcome, welcome to you, Michelle. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are Michelle Vroom. And like I had said, I've been following you for years. In fact, I was going through my notes and I saw that I wrote a blog post a little bit over a year ago. And it was top 10 podcasts that you need to listen to if you're a woman in business, and you were in there. And so I was just looking at that and I'm like, I've been a fan for a
I
while.
appreciate that. I love it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get to the good stuff right away. You have helped countless women become the provider of their families, and which is a dream of mine. And I would love to know, and if you could share how you started this whole enterprise.
Yeah, so I've been in business for about 8.5 years. I started when my oldest child, I have three boys at home. I started when my oldest son was 6 months old. So I figured, new baby, why not start a business too? Not chaotic at all. And really I don't know that I had a full picture of what would change for me and how it would evolve. I started out just wanting something that I could continue to do for myself, right? I still wanted a career. I still wanted to use my skills. I wanted to contribute to my family. I don't know that I necessarily viewed it as being a provider at that point. And so, it was a big financial sacrifice for us. I had been previously working for a global health insurance company. So I come from the corporate world and I was the breadwinner at the time. And I had a really cushy corporate job, if I'm being honest. I wanted something different. I knew that I didn't want to look back with regret and say, well, gosh, what if I had made a different decision? So I ended up, I think it was a couple months after going back to work after maternity leave, leaving my job and going full time with my business. So it was a big sacrifice for our family. Things totally shifted. But I knew it was worth it. I knew that it was what I wanted, even though it felt scary. And so fast forward to now, and my business has provided for my family in ways that, I mean, I can't even begin to list all of them. I've added more children to the mix since then. I started doing done for you services, so social media management, blog writing, email writing, that kind of thing. And then moved into coaching about, a year and a half to 2 years into business. And now coaching is all I do. And I have a couple of different ways that I coach my clients. I wouldn't say I really realized my mission of helping women be providers until I want to say it was 2021. So 3 years ago, I just, I had a team retreat local to me with my coach and my team at the time. And we were talking through just, what is my vision for my business? What do I really want? What have I been helping women with? And I realized that what I want for women is to be the provider, and that's going to look different for each person. For me, being able to provide for my family by having us purchase our dream home. My husband lost his job when COVID happened in 2020. He lost it for about 6 months. And I was, 8 months pregnant with my third child at the time. And I remember him coming home from work and being like, I don't have a job. He left in the morning and came back. And I know there's so many other stories, right, that are very similar during that time. And I did not bat an eye. I literally said to him, I've got this. My business has got this, because I did. I was making 20K plus per month easily, right? In recurring revenue. I was able to take a maternity leave with my youngest and for an entire month, like not have to worry about sales or clients. Our lifestyle didn't change whatsoever. So not only was my business the breadwinner at the time, I was providing the sole provider for 6 entire months and could have gone longer, right? That wasn't, what ended up happening. But I just remember thinking like, man, like a boss, like that. I felt like a boss. And I want other women to experience that kind of peace and contentment, right? Not peace and contentment that comes with like money's the only thing that can do that. The money obviously is nice, but it's like I can take care of my family. I've never been the kind of coach who wants the big flashy stuff, who wants like the Birkin bags and like the big massive, I'm not saying that like you can't want those things, but for me, it was always just I want to make a really good living and I want to help my family be comfortable. And there are so many women that I help who are like, yeah, no, I want the same thing. It doesn't mean I don't have bigger goals. It doesn't mean they don't have bigger goals, but I'm not looking for, big flashy results one month and then not be able to sustain them or repeat them. And when I realized that that's how my clients were feeling too, that's when I really tapped into helping them become the provider and looking at what can we do to help you be in control of signing clients so that you can provide for your family, and that might look like big dream home, dream car, dream vacation. It might look like giving your family the extras. Like for me, extras mean buying my kids the expensive stuffies that they want on the boardwalk when we go to the beach every summer, right? Or giving them dessert when we go out to dinner, which was not something I ever had as a kid. And so I think it's just that stuff that really keeps me going. I think a lot of people have been like, how did you do this with 3 kids at home? And I've had to be very efficient with my marketing and how I, get clients. But it's something that I feel really strongly about. And I think that in the industry that we have now, not to go off on a tangent about this, but in the industry we have now, it's like people are constantly talking about the big flashy stuff with no context for what's required, right? And you have people who are like, well, I have to push myself constantly to get the big flashy overnight results, but what we don't realize is number one, those overnight results are never overnight, but we also don't realize that sometimes people have big, quote unquote overnight results, but then they can't sustain it. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And I would much rather have a very steady, consistent business. And to be honest with you, Stacy, I have had a very steady, consistent business. I think in some ways I've almost like looked at that and been like, I should have done more, right? Or I don't have necessarily the big flashy results, but I'm like, I have a business for the last 5 years in a row has made 6 figures, but for the last 4 years in a row, I've made anywhere between 250 to 300K steadily in my business. Like that, there is no shame in that. There's nothing wrong. And I think that again, this industry makes us believe like you have to just keep pushing, keep doing more. And I want to help women have that steady, stable, repeatable, consistent business.
You have just said so many things that just, I love so much of it. And one of them is this industry, right? The kind of the showy, not to call out bros, but the bros. And then I see so many TikToks and Instagrams and, watch how or I made 100K in my last launch. Watch how I did it. So easy. And what's not being said, because as a meta ads person, what's not being said is you made 100K, but you spent 80K on ads, right? And and that's not transparent. And so it's really frustrating because there's a lot of women out there that have big dreams and just want to be a provider, just want to be able to take their kids on a vacation once a year, or like you said, have dessert or order guac at Chipotle, those little extras. And they think that they could start an online business and in 30 days do what this person said they could do and have 100K a year. And I like that it's consistency and stability is so much more, in my opinion, so much more important than up here one month and then scrounging for your next client the next
Yeah.
month.
A
Yeah.
hundred percent. I shared a couple of months ago, probably about 6 months ago, my income report from the last 5 years with my community because I wanted them to see like that stability and what it looks like. And it took me 3 years to get to 6 figures to have my first 6 figure year. And I remember one of my clients who hired me right after she saw that report, she was like, I actually didn't hire you because of like the 6 figure or multiple 6 figure numbers. She's like, I hired you in part because I looked at your income report and I saw that your second year in business, you made 54K. She's like, that like became so relatable to me. Like a lot of my clients will say, you're not this big flashy coach. Like your business is doing really, really well, but I wouldn't put you in this category with all the big flashy coaches. It's like, it's relatable. It gives me, the belief that I can do it too, which is so, I mean, I love that. That's what lights me up, right? That's what drives me to show up every day for my community and to talk about the things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I really, really relate to it too. And I so much appreciate it. I told you before we started this that I have 4 kids. all adults now, but I stayed home with all of my kids and excuse me, my oldest is 30, so I was a stay-at-home mom for 21 years because I have a huge gap in between my second and third. And when I wasn't a stay-at-home mom anymore, it's terrifying. I remember thinking, well, do I get a job? What do I do? And do people do resume? Like I didn't know anything. And I just felt like I completely lost myself. And I think having something, like you had said, even if it's not being the provider of your family, just being able to contribute, I think it means a lot. I think a lot of times women do lose themselves and they don't make money and they feel, oh, I feel bad getting my nails done, just little things like that. I shouldn't say it's a little thing because I don't ever get my nails done. It's kind of a big
I
thing.
still don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I know one of your specialties is growing and monetizing Facebook groups. Can you touch a little bit on that? Because I know that a lot of times people think Facebook's dead. I talked to my Facebook group, nobody answers, it's just, it's, people think it's really hard to get a good Facebook group going.
Yeah, and some of this I'm going to share will definitely be some tough love because anywhere you go, people will say a platform's dead. Everything's dead according to the internet these days. And it's easy
Yeah.
to say that something's dead. It's way easier to say it's dead and to blame the platform than to really look at yourself and how you're showing up and how you're marketing. And are you actually building a community that people want to engage in? I mean, that there are honest questions that I think very few people are willing to ask themselves. Very few people are willing to look at how do I need to market and show up to build an engaged community that's going to produce clients. And so we blame other things. We blame, external factors. And I really want to challenge everyone listening to do the opposite of that and to really take massive ownership and responsibility. I truly fell into having a Facebook group because 6 years ago, I needed a place to house some videos that I was doing for a live challenge. And I figured I would shut the group down after the challenge was over. And when I got to the end of the challenge, I was like, this is so fun. And my coach was like, why don't you just keep it open? I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy marketing in this way. I love relationship building. That is the core of everything I do. I think it's why I've continued to sustain so much success when others have maybe, struggled in their business. It's because everything I do is at the core of relationships, which I think we've overlooked. I think we actually need to go back to that in many ways. And so for me, I intended to shut it down. I ended up leaving it open. And a lot of people will ask me, like, I think I've become sort of the authority on Facebook groups, not because I necessarily like positioned myself that way, but because people see what I've been able to do with my community. And they always ask, like as if I have some big, like, magic secret, like, how do you do it? And I think there's a couple of reasons how. Number one, I wanted to show up there. I didn't choose it because it was a Facebook group, right? Like, I think we have a tendency to place so much emphasis on the platform itself and almost give our power away to the platform. And that's why you hear people saying a platform is dead. It's so much more nuanced than that. It's not about the platform. It's about the fact that I decided I was going to create a community that would produce clients. I decided to make that my single source of clients and leads. I had to make a decision and then I had to decide and redecide every single day. Even when people were telling me, you should be on Instagram, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, I really kept my head down and stayed focused on building the community. And this community was the single source, the single place that I promoted my single audience. Like I talked about it all the time. I talked about the things that we were doing in there. And I think that really made a difference. So, being able to stay the course, even when others are telling me there's better fruit to be found elsewhere. A lot of those people, ironically enough, are like coming back around and reopening Facebook groups and all of that. So, I just find that to be really interesting. And so I think that really benefited me. I think it also benefited me to really think about, why would people want to join my group? Like, what can they get from there? What's the value they can get? And promoting what's happening inside of the community versus the community itself. That's a shift that I think a lot of people don't make. And it makes growing a community and growing an audience with quality leads a little bit more difficult. So we want to think about promoting it like you would promote an offer, right? What do people actually care about? They care about what is it? How is it going to benefit me? What am I going to get? And I think we have to challenge ourselves with our free stuff to do that, just because it's free, it doesn't matter anymore. There's so much free stuff, right? And so I think that's also led to me being able to grow my community the way that it has. And I wouldn't say it's been massive growth either, right? We have almost 8,500 members, but I've had it for 6 years. So if you think about it, that's actually not massive growth, but I never wanted massive growth. I wanted intentional growth, growth where I could build relationships with as many people as I possibly could in there. And I think that I've had a better conversion rate than probably other people with groups that are triple the size or more because I was focused on relationships from the beginning. And so it was sort of a natural kind of element, right? People would come to the community because I was promoting what was happening inside. And then I showed up, in the community and I served, right? I focused on what I would say service before sales, serving people in the community, coaching them, acting like their coach before they ever even paid me. And there are people who will come to me and say, I feel like you're already my coach, and at that point, it's just the natural next step for them to hire. And I think some of that was, documenting the things that I do, the work that I do with my clients, like approaching content differently, and really just focusing on the service part and not, how can I get some clients? If that's, the only thing that I'm looking at in my community, I think it's going to feel really challenging. I think it's going to feel like a lot of pressure versus I'm going to serve and then also, tell people how they can work with me. And the people who are ready will do that. It's a very simple marketing model. It almost feels too basic and it almost feels a little boring at times. And I always joke that like boring is the new sexy. Like your marketing should feel boring. Otherwise, you're probably doing too much. You're probably trying too many things, right? You're probably selling too many things. Like I think overall, just in the industry, we're doing too much. And so for me, being able to have that central place where I just bring people in, they learn more about me, they follow me, they binge my stuff. Some of them become clients a little bit sooner than others. Some people need to wait a little bit longer. It doesn't matter either way because I always have leads. I always have people who are interested in working with me. And that's really what I mean when I say, being in control of signing clients. It's not because I'm controlling when people buy. It's because I'm setting myself up with an engaged community that has the potential to buy because I've built such strong relationships and I've, really cultivated that trust and that authenticity that I think is missing.
Wow. You see what I mean? She's bringing all the goods. Wow. Okay. So someone that wants to have, let's say, an engaged community and they don't have one, would you say they should have a community first or an email list first, or just start the group and promote it? How?
Yeah, I think that to me, if we're talking about groups specifically, it goes hand in hand, right? You can actually have people join your group and get on your email list at the same time. And in fact, that's the approach that I've taken because I know that, I mean, there are some people who check my group kind of their own accord, right? Like they get on Facebook, they type in, they go to the group because I've been so intentional in providing value consistently enough for a long period of time. I don't rely on that though. I don't rely on the algorithm. Like you will never find me complaining about the algorithm because it just doesn't bother me. Like people get so bothered when they're just relying on the algorithm. It's like there's so many other things we can be doing. Like what's within our control? Is it the algorithm or is it us putting out, information that's going to drive people back to our community? And so the way that I use my email list in part is when I go live in my community, because I go live quite a bit, I enjoy sort of the rapport and the trust that's built through video. But when I go live, I will also send out an email to my list being like, hey, I just went live on this topic. Go check it out. I'm never like waiting for people to just find it. I'm taking matters into my own hands. I'm focusing on what I can control. And so I don't think it has to be an either or. I think that, any opportunity you have to collect their information, to get people onto your email list and then remind them, right? Like let them know about the things you're doing. I see so many people doing these incredible things, right? Like posting incredible content, sharing incredible lives, and then being like, well, the algorithm didn't show it. So, okay. And it's like, no, that's not being like a boss. That's not being in control. That's giving away your power. Okay, so you didn't get, the views on that live that you thought you would. Go send out an email to your list, include like go tell people about it. Post it on your profile. Tell people that you went live on this topic. Think about what's in it for them. We just have to get better at being more intentional marketers. And I think there's a lot of people who say, well, even people who do marketing for their clients, it's like, well, I have a hard time doing it for myself, right? Or people who are like, I don't feel like I'm the best marketer these days. What is a good marketer? A good marketer is somebody who just builds relationships and offers value to her audience. And so everything you do, right? Every live that I do in my community, ideally is something that is valuable to people. And I have no problem sharing that. So I also think that like my approach is just different in the sense that I've never gotten like bent out of shape about the algorithm. It doesn't mean that there's never been times where I'm like, oh, I wish I had more engagement. Engagement ebbs and flows. I think that's important to note too. But anytime I feel like engagement is dipping, it's like, okay, number one is a sustained dip. I don't worry too much about the dips. We track engagement in our community. And if there's like a sustained dip for like 4 weeks in a row or more, we might take a look at that and say, okay, what needs to shift here. But I also just know that that's par for the course and that the right people are watching me. I believe that fully. And I don't need a million clients to be successful because of the relationships that I'm building. So I think that's important to note, like the approach, the way that I think about community. I honestly believe that is what has made me so successful, right? Because I think about it differently, which means I take different actions. So I'm not really like bent out of shape about that. I think you can and should, do what you have control over in terms of bringing people back into your community. It's not enough to just have them join once, right? We want them coming back and people revisiting my group and seeing my content and watching my lives over and over again. That is building up that trust to what I would call like a tipping point, an eventual tipping point where it's like, you know what? I don't want to do this on my own anymore. I'm going to hire Michelle, right? Everybody reaches that tipping point at different points. I can't control like how quickly that happens, but I can have some influence over it by being willing to show up and not, be the leader in my community and not wait for other people to do it, not wait for the algorithm to show the content.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I could have you on here all day, and I just need to, we need to wrap up a little bit, but I want, if you could tell us what you see the most, what women are doing to just, I don't want to say not quite get it, but where I'm done, I've tried everything, I'm ready to burn it all down. What do you have a quick little tip for that?
Yeah, ask yourself, have I really done everything?
Yeah.
Have I really done everything? And what are my expectations right now? The biggest thing that I see is not necessarily someone's strategy, though certainly there's strategic shifts that you can make. It's their expectations about what's required to sign clients. I want to be really clear here. Our expectations are far too low. Or I'm sorry, our expectations are far too high. We're underestimating how much time and energy it does require to build trust. We live in a world of instant gratification, and we expect that we're going to be able to put up a couple posts, do a couple lives, and people will buy. And that is crazy if you think about it, because none of us operates that way. The industry has a trust issue. I've seen that in the last 2 years where a lot of people are jaded. A lot of people just don't have the trust that they want to have. And we need to be ready to build that and ready to invest time and energy in building that. And so I think expectations are the biggest thing. We want to rush the process. We are impatient. It's like, I want them to buy from me faster. And when you say that to yourself, and that's okay, we're all guilty of that, right? But when you say that to yourself, I want you to ask yourself, okay, if I heard that as the consumer, would I buy from you? Like really, truly, So I think it's just more of an opportunity for self-reflection. Like, have you really tried everything? And what are your expectations right now? And how might are your expectations realistic? If not, how are they actually driving the results that you have currently?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. I know that everyone must be as wowed as I am. So what is the best place for us to find you, to work with you? And I also know that you have something, a free gift perhaps that you're
Yes.
willing to
Yep.
share?
Yeah. So the best place to connect with me and learn more about what I do and just, really experience kind of who I am and my perspective on marketing is my Facebook community, Market Like a Boss. So if you want to see some of the things I touched on today in action in real time, like get a peek behind the scenes, if you will, that's a great community to join. I also have a free calendar that I love sharing with people who are like, I just want, some simple practical marketing strategies to go get my next couple of clients, because I think the industry is so saturated with strategy and it's like people are overwhelmed trying to prioritize what they should be focused on. So my 30 days to new clients calendar is a great way to just get some simple practical steps that you can take every single day to get your next client. They're like 60 minutes a day or less. Okay. So they're very, easy to do. And I love it because it also ties back to a lot of like the content and videos that I've shared in Market Like a Boss. So that's a great calendar to grab and then get yourself into the community and just get to know other people and hear what I have to say about being in control of signing clients. I also share a lot in there about, what it looks like to work with me, opportunities that I have to work with me. So that's really the best place that I would point people to.
Wonderful. And I will have everything in the notes under this video. And please subscribe because people like Michelle are guests, and you definitely want to know when there's a new one up. But so right now, people can work with you one-on-one. Is that
I
correct?
have some one-on-one spots available. I also have a program called Sold Out Standard, which is really about creating demand for your offer, turning the leads that you have in your community into clients, so that you can be an in-demand coach or strategist. I work with mostly coaches and strategists. Many of them are people who know marketing themselves or who help clients with marketing and are like, okay, I need you to do for me what I do for my clients. It's really about being in control, right? And growing into that role of the provider. For many women, it's closing the gap to 10K months. It's closing the gap to six figures by having sort of that simple, repeatable system to take the leads that you have in your community and turn them into clients and to help move people through that journey. I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, okay, I might have a community, I might have people in my group or on my email list, but like, what do I do with them? Like, how do I nurture them to become clients without, convincing or appearing as desperate or trying to rush the process? And so for me, having a community that just always translates into consistent clients has been like truly what gave me security and stability in my business. And I want to help create that for other women. So I do have an opportunity to work with me in that program as well for 90 days. So obviously, feel free to reach out if that's of interest. And then I have one-to-one spots for women who are like, I want the fast track or I want to, work with you personally. Again, I've helped many women sort of close the gap to their first 100K. I've also helped women who have hit 100K and are looking to, kind of scale beyond that and maybe are limited on time. So I know how to be efficient when it comes to marketing. I know what to prioritize, and I love being able to coach my clients through that as well.
Fantastic. This has been so amazing. Just imagine 20 minutes that we've spent with Michelle. Can you imagine if she was your coach and she was actually looking at your personal business? Incredible. Well, I want to thank you. This has been such a pleasure. And again, I will have everything that you talked about in the notes. And go find Michelle and market like a boss. Thank you.
Thank you.